Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another day. I am here with so many new things. That's so awesome. And I have to try it out a few things. Okay, so number one, I have, okay, so remember when I was showing you the pink Lancôme, right? So now I used the blue one. So the blue one, and both of them are on sale at Nordstrom. So definitely pick it up. And this one is definitely, I mean, I have to admit, I know that the pink one is much more popular and they have a lot more to it. They have a mask for the rose. It's a much more popular product and I do like it. The more that I used the blue one, which is supposed to be for more normal to combination skin, the more that I use this, the more that I love it way more than I do the pink one. And this is the toner that goes with it. I highly recommend it. I mean, highly, highly, highly recommend it. And I think that you should give it a shot. Okay. In the midst of that, I am... Okay. In the midst of that, I will be doing my keto coffee, right? So, and I've actually seen a difference, which I'm kind of stunned because, I mean, I always, my weight fluctuates pretty quickly. So I shouldn't be terribly surprised, but my clothes is already fitting differently. So that's pretty cool. And I'm not doing much, so I can imagine if I actually went harder, then that would be really great. But you could actually, go to It Works, go to Elizabeth Walker at It Works, and .com, Elizabeth Walker .itworks.com. Okay, so another thing to consider that there's a few things as since I'm talking about It Works, I think it would be cool to talk even more about the defining gel. So I use a defining gel and I use it twice a day, so it kind of goes by quickly. So you may want to consider picking that up if there's just some areas that you want to work on even more. So the coolest thing about, okay, as this is going, the coolest thing that I will say is, as I'm selling It Works, there's some things that, as a distributor, there's some things like at Avon, started to use the Skin So Soft deodorant, and I actually like it just as much as I like Donna Karan Cashmere Mist. The benefit the most is that it's a fraction of the price. So, if you don't want to spend $26 on some deodorant, I highly recommend some Skin So Soft and spend only like $5. And they gave me a new, first of all, when did Avon start selling, like, yeah, okay, I get hand sanitizer, but they're selling everything. Like, I mean, cleanser for, clothes. I'm not sure if I'm going to try the washing my clothes, but I'm definitely game to trying to do disinfectant around the house. So I'm also game. And so I tried this toothpaste, which the Himalaya Pinksalt toothpaste. It's so good, and I thought it was pretty good. The kids even like it. I highly recommend it too. And then they gave me a sample of this hand soap that I actually really, really enjoy. That is pretty cool. And then, is there anything else? Oh, yes, Bobbi Brown. So I told you before that Bobbi Brown, just want to give this one little go around. Bobbi Brown got rid of their toner, and I must tell you that I am heavily, heavily disappointed, because their toner to me is one of the best toners that I've used, and I've given them out as gifts. So now they have something called a treatment lotion, and it's actually something you're supposed to put, and I was like, okay, fine, I'll try it. And it's actually something you're supposed to put under your moisturizer. And it's, for me, I'm like, okay, maybe that's a bit much. I think I put too much in my iced coffee this morning. I was like, that's a bit much to put that underneath my moisturizer, but I love it. And you know, let me tell you that the Lancôme smell, like I'm still smelling the toner in the facial wash. So good. Love that. Love and I think the treatment lotion is so light that I think it's pretty cool. I highly recommend it. I highly recommend that too. So go down to, oh, and it's on sale with your free, you know, Bobbi Brown is having a sale. You get your free extra stuff. Highly go for it. Okay. I think I have all my extras. I'm also going to make myself It Works, my It Works greens, because yesterday was my red day, so today is my green day. And I'm going to get a little bit, after here, I'm going to walk the dog and get a little bit of a workout on the way back, because kids has the first day of yoga today. So all the kids, there's only two, are going to be a bit busy. So I'm excited about that. Okay. What else? So 2 things as a review today. And actually one of them is not a review yet because I haven't finished it yet. So there's controversy, and so this is only be a quick thing. And when I finish it, then I'll give my full review. And actually, I think I'm going to write about it on Engaged Gaze. I think I will, because I did it before. So let me first say this. I try to read a diverse number of opinions. I don't always do, but I make an effort. And I do it really because of political science. Like, I really, really want to get more than one perspective. And I have not read all of the Donald Trump books. I have read Bob Woodward's book, Fear. I thought it was more scary than I wanted to give credit to. Number 2, I read Omarosa's book, and I walked away thinking, okay, so she's egotistical. So of course, the two of them, Donald Trump and her, are 2 peas in 1 pod, you know. So it made sense why she worked with, when people kept trying to figure out why she worked with the guy. And I still want to see where she was. I mean, I wish somebody would leak the film of the footage of her getting physically escorted, picked up and carried out of the White House. I feel like somebody should have been videotaping that. I like to see it because I'm messy. I'm messy in that way. Not that too many ways, but I would like to see it. Number 2, I've even read Chris Christie's book, which I thought was a disaster of a book. I hated reading it. It was poorly written. Essentially, it let you know that he was a guy who was borderline desperate for anything and got his feelings hurt. He thought he was going to be VP. I don't know what world did he absolutely think that he was going to be somebody's VP, but he, in his head, he thought he was going to be the VP, and he was stunned that he didn't get the VP. And if he wasn't going to get VP or Attorney General, then he ain't won nothing else. And it's like, okay, well, you ain't getting nothing else. Okay. So I was like, I'm going to read this John Bolton book, and I did not pay for it, technically. I am using my Audible so I can listen to it. It's a 20-hour book, but I actually speed through my books because I can't just listen to the drone of regular. So I go through books a little faster at 1.5 speed. So I should be done before the end of the week, needless to say. And so far, I am sitting here thinking, this dude really thought he was going to be Secretary of State. John Bolton really thought he was going to be Secretary of State. I mean, that's all I have right now at the moment. I mean, I'm done with chapter 1, and at the moment, I'm still like, you thought you were going to be Secretary of State. Okay. I mean, this White House and its selection of people is just, and the way that he selects people, it's hard to discredit someone and say that they're not being accurate when there's so many different books that says pretty much the same thing, that it is a disorganized mess, and it's based on how Trump feels at the moment. I mean, how many times do we need to hear somebody say that in different I mean, he's just the one of many who is saying the same thing. Okay. Number 2. So really what I wanted to get my review on today was The Politician. The Politician on Netflix. So I watched the first season, and I was just like, this is so difficult to, this is really, really difficult to wrap my head around. And in high school, I ran for office for ASB chair, ASB, I think it was like the, not entertainment, but it was like the chair of like activities chair or something. And it was my junior year, and it was then that I discovered that there were a considerable number of people on campus that did not particularly care for me, but they didn't say it to my face, right? And so, and must admit, like in high school, I only had a few close friends, and then I'd have friends that I'd kind of be around, or people that I'd be around, but as a whole, I never had like a crew. I kind of mixed in and around. So if people didn't particularly care for me, it's not like I never really got into the gossip. I don't remember getting into the gossip of people disliking me or not liking me. I don't recall any of that. But it was in ASB that I discovered, wow, people really don't really care for me. And they didn't. And the reason why I found that out is because there was a couple of girls who went out of their way to do my job and to try to one me up, and didn't do their job. And so I was like, you're so busy in my space that you don't even figure out your space. I think I was a junior or a senior. I can't remember. It was one of those years. And yeah, I could not understand why they caused me so. I must have been a junior, because my mother drove me around. My senior year, I drove myself. Um, I I could not remember why they had what did I do to make you so much more of a hater? Like I didn't, and I didn't spend that much space in trying to figure it out either. And I didn't necessarily confront. We did have a conversation. I do remember that the advisor having this big conversation trying to get us to all work together. But I was like, what did I do to you? Now, that is a thing for me that I can be so focused on myself and so focused on the task ahead that sometimes I forget to ask like how people are doing, what people are feeling. So that's one of my flaws, but that's the same token, I don't pick when people talk about their haters, like I'm not one of those people that talk about my haters because I don't know them. I'm sure they're out there. And then when they encounter me, when it comes onto my radar, I'm like, oh, okay. What am I supposed to do about it? Like I don't like when people don't like me. So I get that, but I also am not going out of my way to make sure that my haters feel more comfortable and to appease them. Like that's not my thing either. So okay, is has been my reaction. So the show, okay, so politician, the first season deals with running for high school, and I was just like, I don't remember high school being like this. But then again, I didn't go to this elite private school, so I'm still kind of confused on how, like, the level of backbiting and sexual scandal and intensity that they have for this is just so bizarre that I can't even wrap my conscience around it. But okay, fine. So then they go to college, and that's kind of the. I'm not spoiling anything. Season 2 pops up, and I was stunned. I thought it was going to take a while for season 2 to come up, but it didn't. So I'm sitting here watching season 2, and I finished it all in a day. I binged it, and it talks about them running, a campaign, a state campaign. And I mean, first of all, if you're thinking of this being a more realistic picture of things, throw that to the side. This is a ridiculous exploitation of real life, right? So it inflates real life in the most ridiculous and impossible way. Okay. Number 2, I must say that it does get in the midst of its level of ridiculousness. I will say that I worked on a campaign right out of grad school, a couple of campaigns, and I've interviewed for a number of different people. And I must admit that the level of partisanship is amazingly deep, and I will, admit to that. And so I've done nonpartisan and I've done partisan. And one campaign that I worked on, it resulted in a guy, we lost. And the incumbent actually ended up being, the incumbent actually ended up getting a I don't want to say indicted. Well, I guess you did. I guess you did get indicted. The research that we found on the campaign, well, I found on the campaign, led to the man being indicted for mismanaging of a project. And because it's a program that a lot of communities have that tries to keep small cities try to keep state employees attached to their community, and they do it through these loan programs, and that are very, very low level loans, easy to qualify for, stuff like that. And he did it, in a way that violated the policy, and he did it while mayor. Well, he did get indicted. He did take a plea. He did have to pay the money back, and all of that stuff. And it resulted in him having to, forfeit his spot. And our guy had ran for city council immediately after, and he then had to he was able to be on the city council, and then they rotated mayor, so he actually did get what he wanted indirectly, but it didn't last. And that's the thing that I thought was my biggest takeaway, is that when you are kind of corrupt and a little grimy, because we were, and I'm not sure, I think all politics has to be, but I think there has to be a way that you do it to where the public likes you still. The public still has to kind of like you. And I don't think that, and he felt that the means justified the ends. Well, what he found out is that in the midst of his means justifying that end, people don't like it. And people didn't care for it. And people disregarded him because of it. And so he lost in the long term. He got what he wanted in the short term. So when I watched The Politician, that's kind of how I felt. And as ridiculous as this show is, and I'm not sure if I necessarily recommend it. I'm not recommending. I'm not saying don't watch it. I will say that it is so over the top ridiculous, and it is the most depressing perspective that you can have about politics. We think that politicians are corrupt and all of these things, and essentially that's what you get from this show. That these politicians are absolutely corrupt, are absolutely, they don't care about anybody, and they lie. Well, they lie. They have these public interests. They have these double lives. They have all of these different things, and we shouldn't trust them, and all of that I get, and that's essentially what this show deals with to the very, 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 very end. And that's an unfortunate, unfortunate byproduct of what the show is about. So I'm not like, should you go run and watch it? It's up to you if you want to watch it or not. But I do think that it fulfills whatever interests that you may have, and whatever perspective that you may have about politicians. I mean, the negativity of it, you do not walk out of this feeling good about yourself. So if you're watching it thinking, but one thing that you can see is that this show lets you know that the griminess of politicians starts at a very, very, very young age. Okay, so my kid is now bothering me, so I have to let you go, and I'm way over my minutes. I'm like at 24 minutes. So have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.